What's up, everyone? This is RJ Game News USA, back today with another video, and we're going to do a little bit of a reaction video today. We're going to be listening to a Dreamcast guy talking about how the new Xbox handheld is going to be $1,000. The Xbox ROG Ally, he's claiming will be $1,000. You guys know I've called out Dreamcast guy before in the past. And truth is, I'm not sure how I'm going to land on this video. I could see it his way or not, because I'm very anti-Xbox ROG Ally handheld. I think it's a really stupid idea. And we'll see if there's any credence to this rumor. We'll go through the video and try to see, separate what's fact and fiction, what's pure Xbox blind fanboy hate here from the Sony pony himself, and what's actually true. So, if you like this kind of content, you want to support this kind of content, like and subscribe. Let's jump into it. I'm going to be making fun of both Dreamcast guy and the Xbox ROG Ally, so we'll take no prisoners today. Let's get started.
Very brutal year for Xbox, and it's kind of weird to just consider the fact that just even recently, there was so much talk about the possible Xbox comeback. Like, if you're somebody that sort of follows the console wars or just the state of the industry, there have been conversations now for decades about the idea of Xbox versus Nintendo versus PlayStation. But at this point, the talks are really only about PlayStation and Nintendo, because Microsoft has...
Xbox is playing a different game. Like, this guy's still stuck thinking that they care about units sold. They don't give a shit about that whatsoever. They're playing a different game. They realize they lost.
A lot of ways completely given up. They just basically put all their stuff third party. I mean, I spent this whole weekend just playing Gears of War Reloaded on my PlayStation 5, which still feels extremely strange. But it seems like Microsoft's idea is to take a separate lane. Not just to try and purely go to be a service-based option. They're not just pushing Game Pass. They're pushing the idea of a more powerful handheld. Now, there's been a lot of leaks about this, but...
And see, in the past, I thought Xbox might leverage Game Pass to, hey guys, you want to play Game Pass games, you got to come to us and pay our subscription and play on our box. Obviously, since then, they've expanded to, well, we want to play it on all devices and wherever you can and for as cheap as you can, which, fine, okay, that's the strategy you want to do, that's cool. But where it gets really confusing is, why are we now going to shove an expensive PC handheld down people's throats? Who wants that?
The thing that is officially confirmed, which I really want to dive deep on today, is the ROG Ally, where essentially there's a company called Asus, and apparently they worked together with Microsoft to make a portable PC. Now, this thing is beefy. It's actually extremely strong. It's honestly some pretty high-end graphics for a gadget that can fit in your backpack, but the price has now leaked. It is over... Tennis is back! Has now leaked. It is over $1,000 for this handheld. What?
No. It just can't be, guys. It can't be over $1,000. It's just untenable. It's just completely untenable. It's ridiculous enough that Xbox, raise their price of their consoles when they're in third in the console market. I know they don't give a shit anymore. It's untenable that Xbox has raised its game prices to $80 and their competition is mostly still $70 minus Mario Kart. I don't get this. The Switch 2, I would want a million times more than an Xbox ROG Ally, and you're telling me the Xbox ROG Ally is more than double the price? and it doesn't dock? What are we doing? What are we doing? Xbox, come on, bro. I thought $800, and I still thought that's about at least $300 or $400 too much. Handheld-only devices used to be cheaper than consoles. What is going on?
$1,000 for a portable Xbox. I mean, I complained a lot about the price of the PlayStation 5 Pro even being $700. I complained a lot about the Nintendo Switch even being $450. But
see, Dreamcast guy, I'm with you when you complain about the PS5 Pro price. I was with you with that. I'm even more with you with complaining about the Xbox ROG Ally price. Where I'm not with you, and I think most reasonable people would agree, the Switch 2 price is not overpriced. It just ain't. $450 for a base system is cheaper than a PS5. It's cheaper than a Series X. I think it's even cheaper than a Series S with the price increase now. I mean, what do you want, man? Like, you're saying it's all overpriced, then it just mumbles it all together and makes it seem like, well, if it's all overpriced, none of it's overpriced. Sometimes you can look at something and go, that's fairly priced. I think the Switch 2 nailed it on the head with the price. Obviously, we'll always want to pay lower price for something. It's flying off the shelf. This Xbox ROG Ally is not going to be priced very well. You know, just like the PSVR 2 is too expensive. It's too expensive because you also have to have a console. You know, I call out bad hardware right from the jump. And I knew the Switch 2 would be a success. I'm calling it right now. This Xbox ROG Ally is a total flop. I don't know what they think they're going to sell with this, but it's not going to sell crap.
A $1,000 handheld. This is the most niche of niche. But let me take a look at it. I want to break this all down because I have to admit that I'm fascinated by the attempt, but I feel like the results are going to be disastrous at best. Hi, I am Dreamcast Guy. If you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I spent all day outside yesterday and I got really, really sunburned. So if I look like, man, look what happened to this?
All right, weirdo, get to the content.
Be nice in the comments. Anyways, this is the thing: is that I still feel like a lot of people are kind of adapting to this very sudden shift in tactics to Xbox. Like even a year ago, they were publicly pounding their chest saying Xbox is the best place to play. We have Play Anywhere. We have the coolest back catalog. We have the biggest backwards.
You know what really tans his hide? You know what really pisses him off? Is he wants Xbox to actually try to go against PlayStation because he could grift against them and he can make videos against them and be, you know, like a console fanboy. The problem is the direction gaming is headed for everybody besides Nintendo is playing stuff on other platforms. And when Xbox does do this handheld, and they do the ROG Ally or whatever the next system is, it's going to be able to play Steam games. And when that happens, that means basically you're going to be able to play PlayStation games on your Xbox. And Xbox is sending PlayStation games over... Xbox is sending their games over to be played on PlayStation. So it kind of ruins his whole shtick against, well, my console's better than your console. We're all going to play the same game soon, bud. Like, all of them except Nintendo will be on their own island. And then, so all you're going to do is bitch about them. Good luck with that, because that's a beloved fan base.
We have the coolest back catalog. We have the biggest backwards compatibility. And now they've shifted to everything will be everywhere. Doesn't matter if you own an Xbox, you can be an Xbox gamer. Your PlayStation is an Xbox. Your VR headset is an Xbox. I do think the whole this is an Xbox ad campaign has been disastrous, but the other part of it is that this is such a big...
Well, again, the everything's an Xbox thing. I mean, it makes sense if you want to play cheap. Imagine a smart TV your Xbox has an app. You just pay for Game Pass on the app and cloud stream it. I guess that would be a lot more ideal than dropping a fucking grand on an Xbox ROG Ally or $600 on a Series X. Like, I think it would be easier to do that.
Tempt that I don't think is going to have any sort of moving the needle effect. Aggregated library support, more games at your fingertips than ever before. Welcome to the future of gaming on the go. Now, I'm specifically going to be mostly talking about the specs and the price of both these devices, but if you keep me safe, here we're seeing the ROG Ally X. I am talking about this, the ROG Xbox Ally X. Now, there is
the name's terrible.
A more expensive version and a less powerful version. And you're probably thinking, well, that looks like a standard Xbox Series X and Series S. Well, the original talk was that Xbox wanted to make a handheld that was roughly the power of an Xbox Series S on the go, and they've canceled this project. That internally, they wanted to make a dedicated handheld, something that would compete against more of the Nintendo Switch and less of the PlayStation. And apparently, they just think that's not worth it. Now, when it got confirmed that they're basically canceling this project internally, they're letting Asus handle it, the talk is the fact that essentially,
are you interested in Lively's exclusives?
No longer wants to subsidize their hardware. What that means is that essentially, with a lot of companies, if you're making something and it costs you $600 to make, you sell it for $650, right? Well, not with gaming companies. With gaming companies, they purposely eat the cost because they're going to make most of their money on you buying the games, you buying Game Pass, you buy.
He's bringing up a good point. If companies decide to no longer subsidize cost, consoles are going to get really expensive, folks. I know, Nintendo will often barely break even on systems. Consoles seem to be in this era of let's just break even with what it cost. But it used to be like with the PS3 and stuff like that, even though the PS3 was really expensive for the time, they were eating a lot of cost. Because the idea is you could sell games later. Well, first of all, PlayStation doesn't make new games, hardly. So they're not really earning their money back when it comes to that stuff. Nintendo obviously makes a lot of their own games. Cool. Xbox, obviously, they weren't succeeding at all with hardware. So they're willing to offshoot it, they're willing to not to eat a loss, and they're willing to just put their games on other platforms that are cheaper.
And Fortnite V-Bucks, they get a cut of everything on the platform. So they're fine that if it costs them $600 to make the console, they're fine selling it at $550 or something. Anything to get you in board without basically losing all their money. Microsoft has said they are now going to stop all subsidization. That's why the Xbox continues to get more expensive now instead of cheaper and cheaper, and why it seems like their plan is to just straight up let other people make Xboxes, in this case, letting somebody do an officially branded Xbox handheld that's even being advertised by Xbox. Now, the ROG Ally X, just the basic one that's already been out, and this new Xbox version is more powerful of it. We're going to take a look at that.
If I look like somebody just shit in my Cheerios, it's because, honestly, $1,000 handheld console is ridiculous. And you guys know I'm not someone that bitches about price all the time. I whined at all the babies who bitched about the price of the Switch 2 or the $80 Mario Kart. Nah, you have every right to bitch about this. $1,000 for an Xbox ROG Ally. I didn't know ROG Allies were that fucking expensive when I first heard about them to begin with. And no wonder I didn't hear about them or give a shit about them before.
Second. But a lot of people are talking about the fact that the ROG Ally just got more expensive anyways. Just a normal ROG Ally X, which again is weaker than this, is already a $900 thing. A $900 handheld, and this is more powerful than it.
Mm-mm.
For the ROG Ally X to cost $800 or less, Microsoft or Asus would have to eat that cost. The ROG Ally X has similar specs to the $900 one right now. The ROG Ally X has a much better CPU, Z2 Extreme. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of shock and disappointment.
It's at least $1,000 right there.
Price. This came out by Extras.
You know, you notice when a lot of these companies now, especially what happened with the ROG Ally X, they show off the product and then they don't show the price. Running scared to show that price.
These people have done a lot of different leaks. I've talked about their stuff over the years. They have a lot of connections, but here it is. ROG Ally White, which is the slightly less powerful, think of it as the Series S versus the Series X version, is going to be about $700, whereas the ROG Ally X Black Edition is probably going to be a little bit over $1,000. Now, if they're trying to actually make a profit, they're probably going to price it at about $1,100. Prices have leaked. Release window.
Okay, so the title's clickbait a little bit here because you can get a cheaper handheld closer to the ballpark of $700, according to him. A less powerful one. That'd probably be the best option. That's probably the only tenable option. But even at $700 for a handheld, go fuck yourself for the cheap one. And then $1,100 for the expensive one. Get the fuck out with that.
It's leaked. Pre-orders begin in August. Official launch in October. Now, I do think that we are in a very different market right now. I think it's Microsoft themselves that actually coined the idea of luxury gamers, which is this concept that there are some people with a lot of disposable income that want that premium gaming experience. They're the people that will buy the $200 Xbox controller or that $200 PlayStation Edge controller. There are people that not just have that money, but don't mind spending it to get 1% of a better experience. I'm not one of those people. I mean, typically, I try and get I don't even have a Pro controller for my Nintendo Switch 2, right?
Dreamcast guy will cry poor all the time, but he buys a shitload of games, man. He buys an absolute shitload of games.
But those people definitely exist. I just feel like if you're making something like this that is supposedly supposed to be on store shelves and stuff, this high price tag, it will just always be prohibitively expensive. I mean, even right now, even if you want to buy a Nintendo Switch, that's $500, right? I still feel like that's a lot. This being double the cost, to me, is a hurdle that people won't be able to get over. It is cool that it will be able to play so much. They have talked about the fact that this is going to have Game Pass. It is going to have pretty much every launch run. You can play Steam games on it. You can play all sorts of stuff. Good old games, Battle.net will...
There's one way a $700 Xbox ROG Ally or a $1,000 Xbox ROG Ally could be worth it in only one way. And that would be, if you do it, you have Game Pass for life. If they sold you Game Pass for life with it, now we're cooking with grease. Obviously, that's not happening.
I'll be honest. I'm very tempted to get this just because I do want to review it as a person that's very...
Of course! Of course! This is the same guy who bashed the Nintendo Switch 2 for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then what'd he do? He bought it anyway! And reviewed it anyway! And hated it anyway! And now this motherfucker's like, I'm gonna go buy the Xbox ROG Ally I just said was too expensive, and I'm not somebody that buys expensive products. And now he's like, well, you know what, guys? Just for the sake of the channel, I better buy this product so I can review it. Come on, bro! Come on!
I have noticed some people excited about it. It definitely seems like everybody I personally talked to that played even the current version of the ROG Ally X, apparently it is wild. I mean, it is a full-blown PC in your pocket. It is...
Who cares?
I've seen people say you can also customize it to run tons of emulators and all sorts of stuff at 4K, 200 FPS on a handheld. This being more powerful than that is interesting, but this is the main complaint I've seen people say, which is that, okay, this isn't really an Xbox. This whole advertising campaign of this is an Xbox is still so bizarre.
It's a fucking Xbox, okay? It has an Xbox button. Xbox signed off on it. It's a ROG Ally and it's an Xbox. I've heard people talk about this online. Well, this isn't really an Xbox. Shut the fuck up. It's actually an Xbox, okay? It literally is designed to be one, but in a ROG Ally form. Alright? It's semantics at this point.
I own 762 games on Xbox Series X across 4 generations of Xbox. This does not include Game Pass titles, but it does include a few betas and demos. Of those 762 games, only 61 of my games are Play Anywhere. This is 8% of an Xbox. Now, I saw people talking about this because I wish my TV. This does actually, I think, more than anything else, this nails why I feel like this is going to fail. In that we're just getting to this point now where the advertising and messaging around this doesn't really connect with the product itself.
Yeah, so that's a problem. If it doesn't play your full Xbox library, that's an actual issue. That's a problem.
Like, hey, we have this system. This system is really beefy. It plays Xbox games. It's got an Xbox button. Okay, but it doesn't have Game Pass. It doesn't have anything in it. This is a Windows PC. This is something that just plays Windows gaming. This isn't an Xbox. I think that it is cool to me that it can play PlayStation Steam stuff. That's kind of interesting. I think I keep coming around to the...
You don't think that's cool. You don't think that's cool at all. That's such cap, man. That's such a lie. You are frustrated at the idea that the ROG Ally can play PlayStation games. You're obviously a Sony pony. And no, come on, you can't fool me.
Idea that the ROG Ally X is too ambitious, and it really just doesn't know the market. Maybe it's just me,
yes,
but I feel like people are getting more broke, more cheap, more willing to spend money on a game that's good, but lower price, right? I do think that part of the excitement of the Gears of War Reloaded is the fact that it's a $40 awesome game.
Stop praising remasters. Stop buying remakes. Stop. Just fucking stop. It's just like everybody that's excited. I'm going to use a random game example, okay? People are excited for Persona 4. Cool. Where's Persona 6? People were excited for Elder Scrolls 4. Where's Elder Scrolls 6? People are, and you know what? I'm guilty too. Alright, I'll point the finger at me. There's sometimes I've rebought games that were remastered or just ported over. I'll give you an example. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. I was a fucking sucker for it. Honestly, it was my favorite game of 2024, even over Astrobot. But Astrobot won my game of the year because it was an actual new game. But, could I have waited for the GameCube version on NSO if I knew that was coming? Sure. But companies do sell you on nostalgia. So I'm guilty of it too. But and boycotts don't work. I'm aware of it. And remasters, remakes are going to keep coming no matter what I say or do. They'll just shift to the next generation up. Get ready for a bunch of Wii and PS3 and 360 remasters, obviously. I mean, that's what's going on, right? Coming up. But, I point the finger at myself, too. If we need to stop buying remasters and remakes, guys. We need to demand these companies, instead of just taking the same shit they made and just doing it over again, when we could play a perfectly normal version of the game that's already out. Now we're starting to see it in movies too, and we've seen it in video games. Remasters and remakes getting a remaster and remake of the remaster or remake. Stop. Stop. Full stop. Give us the new entries. Give us the new shit. We've gone way too far with remakes and remasters. Obviously, some are fine. Obviously, it's going to be part of the ecosystem going forward. It just is. but it's happening way too fucking much. The only other time I'll accept it is compilations. Where's the Marcus Phoenix collection that was rumored? That's what we should have got, and that could have been a full price game, not a $40 Gears of War Reloaded. I'm not buying it. Go fuck off. I played Gears of War the first time it came out. I played Gears of War the second time you released it. I'm not triple dipping on it. Go fuck yourself.
The Gears of War Reloaded is the fact that it's a $40 awesome game with tons of maps and a long campaign you can play co-op and stuff like that. Even things like Expedition 33, a game that's $50, that's 100 hours long, super fun. It just feels like people are...
Expedition 33 is not 100 hours long. It's just not. He's fucking lying to you.
We're getting scammed so much, ripped off so much in every corner of the gaming industry that if you come out and say, hey, here is a handheld that is powerful, that is juicy, and it's double the price of the Nintendo Switch, you're going to get laughed out of the room. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts. How do you feel about... Alright,
that's the end of this video. I'm going to wrap up my final thoughts. The Xbox ROG Ally is too damn expensive. I think it's clear to me what the price is. I think if a console is $500 or less, I feel like I'm good with it. For me. So in other words, I'm cool with the PS5 price, and I'm cool with the Switch 2 price right now. Anything over $500, I need extreme justification. The PS5 Pro is at least $100 too expensive. It shouldn't be more than $600. Even at that price, I wouldn't recommend it, but $700, that's too much. PSVR 2 has too much requirements to get it to go. And this Xbox ROG Ally is way too expensive. It's going to be more expensive than a PS5 Pro, but it's only a handheld. Instead of these guys touting, look, handheld. No, handhelds used to be the cheap alternative to your console. Okay? Look at Nintendo and PlayStation as an example historically. The handheld was the cheap alternative. Your PSP, your PS Vita, your Game Boy Advance. And I know what you're going to say. Well, it's playing console-powered games on the handheld. Yes, I get that's what people are going for. I get that the prices won't be $200 anymore. Fine. Handhelds should never, ever be this fucking expensive. Especially for only a handheld. It's ridiculous. And the Series X and the Series S shouldn't be getting price increases. Consoles shouldn't be going up in price as the generation goes on. They should be going down in price. The Nintendo Switch Original should be taking a price cut. It's old gen now. It did not get a price cut its entire generation. The Switch Lite should be like $100. The OG Switch should drop to $200. The OLED should drop to $300. Something along those lines. Or $150, $250, $300, or whatever, right? We should be seeing price decreases. Xbox should be decreasing the price of the Series X and S by $100 each because they're in competition still with the Nintendo and the PlayStation, which are outselling them by an alarming rate. Instead, they jack it up. They jacked it up. And then their investors wonder why they're failing so hard at selling their hardware. If you don't like that, go the route of Sega or Atari, pull the fucking plug, and go third party once and for all. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thank you all for watching. Leave your comments below and I'll read them. I'll see y'all later. Peace. I'm out.